Okay, let's get honest. Let's get honest for a second, and I mean brutally honest. The kind of honest most people avoid because it threatens everything they built their identity on. Most people do not know love. I know you think you do. I know you have convinced yourself that what you feel is love. What you chase is love. What you cry over is love. But it is not. Most people do not know love. They know attachment. They know adrenaline. They know the nervous system's desperate attempt to feel safe in the only way it learned safety as a child. And they have mistaken that for connection. We call it chemistry. We call it passion. We say, oh my God, the spark was insane. Like it is a spiritual sign. When really, it is the body whispering, I recognize this chaos, but this feels like home. Let that land fully and feel what it pokes at, because the truth that will piss some people off and liberate others instantly is that your body isn't magnetized by love. It is magnetized by what feels familiar. And if what feels familiar is inconsistency, unavailability, if what is familiar is overgiving, performing, chasing, proving, if what is familiar is being the one who tries harder every single time, then that is what you will keep calling quote-unquote love. Not because you are weak, not because you are broken, but because your nervous system is wired for survival. It is not wired for romance. When your system learned that love equals waiting, hoping, pleasing, or settling, your adult relationships simply echo that template. This is not about romance. This is about biology. This is about energetics. This is about the unconscious felt sense of safety, or the lack of it. What drives every single choice you make in love. You think you're choosing with your heart. No, you're choosing with your survival patterns. And I need you to hear this. I really hear this. Love is not intensity. Love is safety. Love is coherence. Love is the way your nervous system exhales when someone is emotionally safe, when someone is present, when someone is stable, when someone is attuned. Love is two bodies that can finally relax. Not two bodies that keep each other activated. But if your nervous system has no idea what safety feels like, if it has never experienced consistency without chaos, and if your inner child still thinks love is something you earn by being enough, then of course, stability feels boring. Of course, healthy love feels unfamiliar. Of course, you sabotage the good one. And of course, you chase the one who keeps you guessing. Why? Because your body is searching for what it knows, not what you deserve. And this is why when we talk about the spark, why the spark with emotionally unavailable people, it feels intoxicating. Not because it's fate, but because your system recognizes the pattern and rushes to complete it. Listen, I'm not saying this to shame you. then I would shame myself and all my loved ones. Like, no, I'm saying this because denying your biology keeps you stuck in loops you think you are choosing, when really your nervous system is choosing it for you. And here's the reframe of everything I've been talking about that frees people for life, okay? Love is not the thing that makes your chest tighten. Love is the thing that makes your chest open. So when you tune into your body, just let it speak, you will know. Love is not the person who activates your childhood wounds. Love is the person who helps them soften. Love is not the roller coaster. Love is the ground. Love is not your nervous system in fight or flight. Love is your nervous system in ventral vagal. It is the state where you feel safe, where you feel connected, calm, and where you feel clear. That is what real love is. It is not the adrenaline. It is not the obsession. It is not the high of chasing validation. If your quote-unquote love feels like a trauma response, if it feels like urgency, fixation, confusion, or even anxiety, I'm going to tell you something you may not want to hear. That is not love. That is your body trying to finish a story it never got to finish in childhood. And in this episode, in this entire conversation, is not about calling you out. It is about waking you up. Because once you understand that your attraction isn't random, once you understand that your patterns aren't a personality flaw, once you understand that your body has been trying to protect you and not punish you, you finally have the power to choose differently. So, this episode is not about how to find love. It is about understanding why the love you have been choosing has been choosing you through the lens of your past, okay? We are going into the energetics, the psychology, the nervous system, the somatic truth underneath your patterns. Because love, real love, isn't a feeling. It is a frequency. And your nervous system either knows that frequency or it doesn't. So let us recalibrate it together today. We just need to get something straight, because this is where most people get lost. You don't attract what you want, you attract what your nervous system believes is safe. I want you to hear that with your whole body. Because the mind has fantasies, like ideal partner, ideal love, ideal connection, but the nervous system, it has memory. And memory will win every single time. Psychologically, your attraction template, like your sense of what is quote-unquote home or chemistry or comfort or pull, that is formed before you can even spell the word relationship or spell any word at all. Not as an adult, not in your teens. But before the age of 7, when your brain was in the theta wave consciousness, it was wide open, it was unfiltered, and it was absorbing everything like a sponge. Like the tone in your parents' voices, the way arguments were resolved or ignored, and the way affection was given or withheld, and the way you were soothed, or maybe you weren't soothed at all. Your childhood wrote your attraction blueprint, and your body, it memorized it. And you have been reenacting it ever since. And this is not because you are broken or your body is broken or your mind is broken. It's because your body is brilliant. When you were little, love wasn't defined by romance. It was defined by safety, by survival, by will I be chosen? Will I be cared for? Will I be heard? Will I be enough? And whatever that answer was, that became the blueprint. So let's make this painfully clear. If love felt unpredictable in childhood, predictability will feel unsafe. If love came with highs and lows, you will mistake intensity for intimacy. And if love required you to perform, self-abandon, or earn affection, your adult chemistry will be drawn toward the familiar rhythm of scarcity. You think you're falling in love, but really, you're falling into a pattern your body has rehearsed for decades. And the worst part is that your mind will create romantic narratives to justify it. But the connection is insane. The spark is undeniable. I can't explain it. I just feel drawn to them. No, you can explain it. Your nervous system is recognizing a familiar emotional frequency and saying, oh, this feels like home. Not because it is healthy, but because it matches my imprints. And to further making this even more concrete, if your father was emotionally unavailable, if he was inconsistent, sometimes present, sometimes distant, if you felt like you had to earn his attention all the time, can you guess what becomes your baseline? Emotional inconsistency, unpredictability, chasing, proving, guessing, getting someone to choose you. So, when someone stable appears, someone that is grounded, someone who texts consistently, someone who doesn't play games, your nervous system doesn't recognize it as love. It recognizes it as unfamiliar, and unfamiliar feels unsafe. And so, stability becomes boring, and consistency becomes lack of passion, and reliability becomes no, I didn't feel any spark there. And that is not because the person isn't right. It is because your nervous system isn't calibrated for peace yet. And this is why so many people they sabotage healthy love. And not because they don't want it, but because their body doesn't know what to do with it. Love doesn't feel like intensity. Love feels like exhale. And if your system doesn't know peace, you will confuse calm with disinterest. And you will mistake emotional availability for neediness because you have only ever known emotional distance. You will mistake consistency for lack of chemistry because your chemistry has been wired to respond to stress. And you will walk away from the person who could love you to chase the person who activates you. And not because you're dumb, not because you have bad taste, but because your body is loyal to what it knows. Attraction is memory. Attraction is repetition. Attraction is nervous system familiarity masquerading as destiny. And until you rewire that blueprint, until you create safety inside your own body, you will pick the same partner wearing a different face every single time. This is the psychology of attraction. This is the biology of love. This is the truth no one wants to admit. Your love life is a nervous system pattern, not a personality trait. And the moment you understand that, you reclaim your power to choose differently. Let's drop into the body for a second, because this is where most people misunderstand love. You have been taught to analyze your relationships with your mind, to make lists, to rationalize red flags, and to overthink every text, every silence, every shift in tone. But love doesn't live in the mind. Love is somatic. Love is nervous system. Love is felt first and understood second. And if you want to understand why you keep choosing the wrong people, or why the right people feel quote unquote wrong, you have to start here. I'm going to strip it down for you. So, your nervous system is the real matchmaker. Your vagus nerve, the longest nerve in the body, is constantly scanning for safety cues, like the softness in someone's eyes, or the steadiness in their breath, or the warmth of their tone of voice, or the quality of their presence. Not the thing you consciously notice, not their jobs, not their looks, not their potential. Your body is scanning for felt sense. Like, does this person regulate me? Or does this person activate me? And this happens before thought, before logic, before your mind can romanticize, justify, or explain away anything. This is why the body never lies. You can convince yourself someone is good for you. You can talk yourself into compatibility. You can create excuses that sound spiritual, like, oh, he's just going through something. Or she needs space. Or like, it is just the timing. We have such a strong connection. But if your chest tightens every time you text them, if your stomach drops when you see their name, if your breath shortens every time they pull away, then your body already knows the truth. It already knows the truth that your mind is trying not to see. This is polyvagal theory in action. The vagus nerve has 3 states. First is the ventral, when you're regulated, open, connected, and this is where real love lives. And then we have the sympathetic, which is the fight or flight, anxiety, overthinking. And this is where anxious attachment feels, well, very much alive. And then you have the dorsal. You shut down, you feel numb, detached. And this is where avoidance masquerades as independence. And there's the part that would change your life. If you grew up in dysregulation, regulated love will feel suspicious. If you grew up in chaos, calm will feel threatening. If you grew up unseen, being adored will feel uncomfortable. Because safety is not about what is healthy. Safety is about what is familiar. Your body is not asking, is this person good for me? Your body is asking, does this feel like the emotional environment I was raised in? That is the somatic truth. And this is where my own realization hit me. For so long, I thought I was falling in love with someone's potential. I thought I was attracted to depth, intensity, passion. But I wasn't. I was falling for familiarity, for the emotional pattern my inner child learned. Like, chase the love that doesn't choose you, earn attention that isn't freely given, and prove your worth to someone who isn't showing up. I call that love. I called that chemistry. But it was trauma energy. It was trauma energy that was just wrapped inside butterflies. And my heart wasn't choosing them. My nervous system was reenacting a script. And I want you to hear this. If someone makes you feel anxious, if someone makes you feel activated, unstable, if someone makes you feel hyper attuned, that is not love. That is your survival system lighting up. That is your inner child reaching for someone who resembles what they once knew. And that is also it's your fascia tightening, it's your breath shortening, it's your intuition going offline because your body is reverting to the energetic shape it learned in childhood. Love is not supposed to feel like bracing. Love is not supposed to feel like managing someone else's uncertainty. Love is not supposed to feel like you are auditioning. Real love feels like cooperation with your nervous system, not war. Until you regulate your nervous system, love will always feel like work. Not because love is hard, but because your body is fighting ghosts from your past. When your body is dysregulated, your relationships will be too. When your inner child feels unsafe, your adult will choose unsafe partners. When your system is stuck in sympathetic charge, you will call intensity for connection, and you will call coherence boredom. Your love life is not random. It is patterned, predictable, somatically scripted. And the moment you understand that, you stop asking, why doesn't love work out for me? And you start asking, what does my nervous system believe that love feels like? Because that is the doorway. That is your doorway. That is the pattern. That is the key to everything that hasn't made sense until now. Let's flip the conversation for a bit. Because a part most people never really learn in their life is that love is not something you get for being good enough. Love is what shows up when you stop abandoning yourself. You don't earn real love. You don't perform your way into it. You don't prove your worth until someone finally decides that you are worthy. Real love doesn't need convincing. Real love doesn't need strategizing. And real love doesn't need you to shrink, to chase, or to overfunction. Real love meets you exactly where you meet yourself. And this is where the truth might hit a little hard. So if you right now keep on attracting people who give you crumbs, it is because crumbs still feel familiar. If inconsistency feels like home, if emotional distance feels like normal, if anxious waiting feels like passion, then your nervous system will keep choosing. It will keep choosing what matches your internal baseline. It will not choose your desires. And this isn't about blame. Again, it's about awareness. Because the universe isn't withholding love from you. It is just mirroring the love you withhold from yourself. You will never receive a love that you don't believe you deserve. Not consciously, but somatically. And this is why working on your mindset is not enough. Your brain can say, I want a healthy relationship. But if your body still expects that love means instability, love means trying harder, love means not being enough, then you will unconsciously attract and also tolerate partners who reinforce that story. Not because you are broken, not because you are unlucky, not because all men are emotionally unavailable. No, that is not true. It is because your inner child, it learned that love is something you chase, not something you rest into. Love doesn't complete you. Love meets you. And the version of you who keeps chasing, overgiving, overthinking, compensating, that version, that doesn't need more effort. That version needs more safety. That version needs a you who stays with you. A you who doesn't disappear every time you feel insecure. A you who doesn't negotiate your worth depending on someone else's validation. A you who says, I don't need you to choose me for me to stay with myself. That is the shift. That is where everything changes. The moment you stop needing love to heal you is the moment love finally can. When you no longer grasp, when you no longer cling, when you no longer collapse, when love is no longer a strategy for you for soothing wounds you refuse to face, when you stop outsourcing your wholeness to someone else's attention, then, and only then, does the universe send you the kind of love that matches the regulation you have built inside. Not because you earned it, but because you became congruent with it. Love is coherence. Love is resonance. Love is nervous system compatibility. And when you become someone who can sit with yourself deeply, honestly, fully, you become someone who can also sit with another without fear, without performance, without panic. That is what real intimacy requires. Not need, not desperation, not adrenaline, but capacity. Capacity to stay open, capacity to be seen, capacity to receive without bracing, and capacity to love without losing yourself. Love is not a reward. Love is a reflection of your internal safety, your internal worthiness, your internal truth. And the moment you shift internally, love shows up externally. Not as a miracle, but as a match. If you want to stop choosing familiarity disguised as love, and if you want to stop reaching for chaos because calm feels foreign, if you want to stop attracting people whose nervous system mirror your wounds instead of your worth, then you need tools. You need tools that shift your body and not just your mind. So I want to share some practices, and these are the practices I teach my clients, the practices I also use myself, and the practices that actually rewire love at the somatic level. So let's go one by one and bring out a notebook to save these. So first, try nervous system reset before a date. Before you text back, before you reach out, before you spiral into, oh, what does this mean? Pause. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. And take 3 slow, complete exhales. Not inhales, exhales. Because the exhale is what signals safety to your body. And I promise you, I promise you that your next move will be completely different after those 3 breaths. Your next text should come from regulation, not reaction. It should come from clarity, not craving. It should come from truth, not from trauma. So this single shift can change your entire dating life. And you need to start soothing your inner child. Place your hand on your chest and feel the part of you that reaches, that the part of you that fears abandonment, that doubts your worth during silence, and that attaches quickly because you're terrified of losing connection. And speak to that part directly. You're safe. You're loved. You don't have to chase anymore. Say it until your exhale softens. Say it until your body unclenches. Say it until your nervous system believes you. This is how you stop outsourcing worth. Your inner child needs you. It doesn't need anyone else's approval. Just need you. Another tool you can add to your toolbox is EFT tapping, and specifically for abandonment wounds. So you tap the side of your hand and say, even though I'm scared to lose love, I choose to feel safe in myself. Then you tap through all the following points: the eyebrow, the temple, under your eye, under your nose, chin, your collarbone, under the arm, and top of the head. And you repeat the affirmation, I am safe to receive love. I am safe to keep love. I don't have to earn love. And you're not trying to force belief, to force yourself to believe in these affirmations. You are reducing the emotional charge so your body can that they can receive what your mind already knows. They can do a little somatic alignment practice. You can feel like where love feels unsafe in your body. So first you really need to slow down, close your eyes, and ask, where in my body does love feel unsafe? And maybe you feel something in your chest. Maybe you feel something in your throat. Maybe for someone else, they feel it in their stomach. Wherever it is, place your hand there. Don't fix it. Don't force it. Just breathe safety into that space and let your body know, I am staying. I'm not leaving myself. This is somatic alignment, not bypassing, not collapsing. It is staying present with the part of you that learned love was dangerous. When you can hold that part, you stop attracting partners who recreate a danger. Before you find the one, become the one who feels safe inside their own body. Because the moment your nervous system believes it is safe to receive love, love stops being a battlefield and starts being home. So let this land gently, but let this land truthfully. Because what I want you to take with you from here, from all of this, is that real love does not need to be chased. It does not need to be managed. It doesn't require strategy or performance or hypervigilance or suffering. Real love is what happens after the survival pattern ends. It is what shows up when your body is no longer bracing for abandonment, when your chest isn't tight, when your jaw isn't clenched, when you are not rehearsing your next move or trying to earn someone's presence. It is what happens when your nervous system finally exhales. When you stop performing the version of yourself you think will be loved, and you start being the version you feel safest in. You don't actually need to learn how to love. You already know how. You were born knowing how. What you need is to unlearn the fear that made you forget. The fear that told you you needed to be chosen to matter. The fear that taught you to chase crumbs. The fear that made intensity feel like connection. The fear that turned calm into danger and chaos into chemistry. Love doesn't begin when you find the right person. Love begins when fear finally loosens its grip on your body. When the story of I am too much, or I'm not enough, or I need to earn love, when those stories dies in your chest, that is when love starts. Not the Hollywood version, not the trauma bond version, not the version where you abandon yourself to be held. No. The real thing. The thing that is steady, regulated, quietly powerful, and deeply, deeply safe. And if no one has told you this before, let me be the one. You don't need to go and find love. You need to make space for it. And that starts inside your own body. Love isn't found, it is remembered. It is remembered when your nervous system finally feels safe enough to receive it. Thank you so much for being here today. We will speak again soon. And until then, stay aligned, stay curious, and most important of all, stay true to yourself.